All right, Music 4602 students, welcome to the Get the Shot Challenge. So what you're going to do is go out with your phone or a DSLR camera, and you are going to capture the shot list outlined in the one-pager. You have 1 week to collect all your shots and upload them to OneDrive, and another week to edit them all together in Final Cut Pro into a demo reel. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how to put together your demo reel in Final Cut Pro. Now, for some of you, this is going to be fairly simple and review, and for others, this is going to be brand new. I'm going to make this from the perspective of someone who's brand new to Final Cut Pro. And for those of you who already know Final Cut Pro, I'm going to expect perfection and nothing less. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do when you open up Final Cut Pro, it'll open up to whatever the last project was that you worked on. So if it's on one of the KPU computers, maybe nothing will show up here to be completely empty. You want to make sure that you have your hard drive plugged in, your external hard drive. You do not want to do this on the computers in the Mac lab because sometimes they wipe the hard drives when the spaces fill up. So make sure you're using the external hard drive. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you have selected on the side. This is where the drives are. You'll find your external hard drive. You want to make sure that you're using the hard drive that you either got from me in class or that you brought with you. It needs to be at least USB 3.0, but USB-C is actually preferable. So I'm going to be using this drive here called Fast SSD hard drive. Now, if you're using the drive for the first time, what you'll have to do first is go New, Library. So you'll go New Library. It will pull up this typical Mac window here, and it'll show all your libraries on the side here. All of your hard drives on the side. So this is how you select the drive that you want to use. You would call this, let's say your name is Tristan, so you would call this Tristan's Video Projects. And that's how you're going to know exactly where to save this. So you would call it Tristan's Video Projects. You would press Save, and then it would show up over here on the side. Go under File, and I'm going to make a new event. So the event is like your book, and a project, sorry, slipped off there. A project is like a chapter in a book. So you want to start a brand new event. So select New Event. We'll call it Get the Shot Demo 2025. We can see it's on this library here. Create a new project, yes. Don't worry about all of this stuff. Just click OK for now. And now you'll see I've got this blank project, but you can't really tell what I'm supposed to be using yet. So you'll see in your Fast SSD drive library, you will see Get the Shot right here. So here's the project that you just created, and it made you a new project. I'm going to rename this Get the Shot 2025 Reel. And if for some reason you didn't check the box that says Make New Project, you would just select this event. You would go File, New Project, and it would make you a new project. You would call it whatever you want to call it and press OK. All right, so those are the two ways to get started. These steps are the most important part of your project. I can't underestimate that enough. if you don't get your project saved onto your external hard drive, you won't be able to work outside of class because it will be stuck on the internal hard drive of your Mac computer in class, and you don't have access to those Macs outside of class time. So please double and triple check that you have saved onto your external hard drive. All right, so that's the important part. That's all the grammar and the boring stuff getting set up. Now, what you want to do is import your footage. Now, hopefully, you have transferred your footage onto the Mac computer somehow, and then you've downloaded that onto your external hard drive. I can help you with that if you don't know how to do an AirDrop actually, it should be in OneDrive, in the OneDrive folder. So that's how you would get it onto your computer. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go File, Import, Media, or you can just go Command-I if you want to do the shortcut. And it's going to pull up a typical import window. You're going to, on the side here, make sure that you check, go into the hard drive, that is your external hard drive, and where do I have it here? Here we go. 2025. I believe this is in week 2. Yes, it is. So you just have to find it in your drive. And here's my raw footage. So what I'm going to do is you could download them one at a time, or you can basically just select your top file and then hold down the Shift key and select the bottom file and then click Import. Now, sorry, I'm having allergies today. So this files section here is really important. If your video files are already on your external hard drive, you want to make sure that you leave the files in place. Now, if the files for some reason were on the actual hard drive of the computer, the built-in hard drive, you could select you could import them from the hard drive, and then you would want to copy to your external hard drive. But I would suggest not doing it this way. It's more complicated. Put all of your files onto your hard drive, your external hard drive first, and then just import them from there and leave them in place. This is a really important step. Now we click on Import Selected. It's going to process for a minute. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And then you'll notice here's all of the clips. And so I made these clips yesterday just with my iPhone. And here is what you're going to do. You are going to, based on the footage that you have, you are going to put together a demo reel. So here is how I'm going to start mine. So you can see I've made a bunch of different kinds of shots. So this is a establishing shot, a master shot. This is a tilt. It's got a tilt that's going from up to down. Here we have a pan across the garden. This is my backyard, by the way. Yes, I know, it's amazing. This is like a medium shot because you see the entire image in here, but it's not too far back. I would call this a medium close-up, sorry, a medium shot. And then this is more like a medium close-up. It's pretty close. And then this is definitely a close-up here. Okay? And I have an extreme close-up, which is a bee on some flowers here. And that's where you try to get in as close as you can with the camera still staying in focus. And then I have another extreme close-up here of some footage of this little solar bird bath that we have. And then I have more panning shots. And then here I did some focus pulls. And I did this on my iPhone, and we'll talk about this in class. You basically use the touchscreen function to get it to do a focus pull. And then here is another tilt going up, some tomatoes, a close-up of some dahlias, and then close-ups of some red clover. Another panning shot of the entire yard. So you could call this a full shot. You could call this an establishing shot because you can see the entire yard. And then we have this little baby here. This is Lucy, our little dog. And I've got some shots of Lucy being absolutely adorable. And then me very awkwardly trying to get a shot of Lucy and I in the grass, realizing that it wasn't really possible, but I stuck it in there anyway. Okay, so now that I've walked you through all of my shots, oh, that's not a nice shot. There we go. Let's get off of that shot up my nose there. Gross. So now I need to show you how you bring your clips into the editing area. So this line in here is where you're going to drag your clips. And there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can just grab an entire clip and drag it in. And then you can grab the beginning and the end, and you can edit the clip like that if you want to change the length of it. Or you can use the letters I and O for in and out. So you can scrub through your shot here and press the letter I where you want the in point to be. See how the box changes here, and the out point right there. And then what it will do is it will just pull in this section. So there's two ways to get stuff in. Now, sometimes it's a combination of both. You pull in what you think you're going to use, and then you kind of can pull these things, the beginning and the ending lines, once you create your project. Now, this looks really small. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is a shortcut for zooming in, and that is Command plus. Command plus. So Command plus will zoom out, and Command minus will zoom back in. So I'm going to now just go through here and just randomly drag a few things in. So maybe I'll go in here, out there, drag it in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I'm going to start to have more things. I'm going to start this right as it pans. So in, what I'm going to do is right as we get to the fountain, we're going to stop there, and then I'm going to cut in to this close-up. So I'm going to scrub it to right about there. We zoom down the fountain. Maybe I'll stop there. And then you can see if I select any place on the ruler up here, I can play from that point. And the play is the spacebar. So spacebar is how you play and stop. So there we go. So that's a nice little combination there where we go from the fountain and we jump cut to a close-up that zooms down. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll put a little shot of the Elephant King here, and then a little bit of this pig, bloop, and then I'll cut to a close-up. Drag this in, etc., etc. So then what you'll do is you will go through and write yourself a little story. So as you can see, I'm doing this a different way. I'm just grabbing it there. Okay, so I'm going to start this clip right before Lucy comes around the corner. Do, 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 do. And in the next shot, she comes from right there. I'm going to try and make it look like it's the same shot. So I'm going to go in at this point and then go into the point where she nudges me for more love, because Daddy loves that. And then I'm going to take a look at these two shots and try to make it look like she goes from here into this shot. So we cheated a little bit. And so it looks like it's all the same shot. And there's the little chicken lady. So you're going to just go through all of your shots and do all of this. And you want to make it feel like the images are telling you a story. So once upon a time in a magical place called Port Coquitlam, two gay people left the city and moved and became the first queer people in their neighborhood. They turned this backyard into the gayest garden ever. Oh, and look it, they love spinning things that they got from Mexico. And it's an oasis, a perfect seating for two. Look at that gorgeous fountain. Oh, yes, it's gorgeous. There are many magical things in the garden, including elephants and little baby pigs, and even real little babies, rescue dogs from Korea, like this little girl named Lucy. Look at, she just loves the yard. Blah, 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 blah. So you're just going to go on and tell your story. So once you have kind of a rough cut of all your shots, you are going to watch your video and take note of how the pacing is. Maybe some shots are too long, maybe some shots aren't long enough. So you'll just press play and you'll imagine yourself telling the story out loud, the way that I just did. That opening shot, was it too long? You can see that it is 7 seconds long. Is 7 seconds too long? I don't think so, because we're going to have to put an opening credit at the beginning. And so let's say I've gone through, I've watched all my clips, I like the pacing. Now you're going to put in some lower thirds, a little bit of text, and then a fade in and a fade out. So to do a fade in and a fade out, you can either go into the transitions editor, which is over here, and in the transitions, you can look for a fade in or a fade out or whatever you want. You can do all different kinds of transitions, or the shortcut for a fade in and a fade out is Command T. And I don't know why it's Command T. There must be some significance and not like Command F, but Command T gives you an automatic fade in, and then you can see that fades in. And like all things in editing software like this, you can grab the end and make the fade longer if you want, just like that. And now we have a nice fade in. I'm going to put a fade out at the end, so I just select the end of the clip, Command T, and I'm going to make a nice long fade here. All right, so I've selected the order of my clips. I've cut them so that they have a nice pacing and they tell a nice story. I've faded in and I've faded out. And now what you want to do is go into the text editor here. So the text editor will show all of the different plugins and titles and different types of text effects that you have. It also has something called generators, which makes things like backgrounds. Now, I have a ton of plugins that I buy because I do a lot of digital content production and I've been collecting these for years. You guys won't have as many, but you will have backgrounds and that sort of thing. If you ever wanted to put one of these into your project, you can just grab it and drag it in, or you can do an in Oh no, it doesn't let you do that. You can drag it in. You can make it short like this, and then you can grab this clip and just stick it right in between these two clips if you want. That's up to you. That's kind of how these backgrounds work. But what you're going to be concerned with right now is actually lower thirds. So I'm going to use the ones that come with Final Cut, and that's these ones here, lower thirds. I have tons and tons of different types of titles and lower thirds and stuff. But let's just stick to the ones that you guys have. So what you're going to do is you're going to put one of the lower thirds that comes, oh, this one looks nice. So maybe I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to drop it right here. And you want to drop it on top of these files because whatever is on the top layer is what shows on the top of the image. So if we grab something like, I'll just grab a background here, and we're going to grab a Nova. You'll see that the Nova goes on top of this image, whereas if I put it below, you wouldn't even see it because this shot would cover this image up. This one has a transparent background built into it, so if we put it on top of this, it shows up on top of this. Okay, so that's a little bit more advanced. We'll learn more of that later on in the course, but for now, just know that whatever you layer on top is what's going to show through at the top of the image. All right, so I have this lower third, and there's two ways that you can change the text. You can either double click it like this, or it will automatically show up here in the editing panel, and you can grab it and you can call it Lucy's Magic Garden. And I don't like this font. You can't really read it. So I'm going to use this font here. So you can see, you can change all of the elements for this text. So you can change the font here. You can change, oh, this one doesn't have any options, but usually there's regular, bold, italic, etc., etc. Tracking is just how far apart the letters are. But the one that I use the most is always the face, and this is the color. So I'm going to click on show, and then I'm going to change this. I'm going to click on the white, and then it pulls up a pane here, a window. I'm going to choose a lovely orange. If I wanted to put an outline, I could. A glow, you could. And a drop shadow. There's one built into this. So I'm going to click on show, and I'm going to make the distance a little further like that so it stands out more. Perfect. So now you can see Lucy's Magic Garden. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another lower third. Where's my lower third? There we go. And I'm just going to put something simple like this. Maybe I'll stick it here. And I'll put my name, Gordon Cobb. Double click on this one, and I'll put Musi 4602. All right. So now, if we play this file, there's the opening shot. There's Lucy's Magic Garden, Gordon Cobb, Music 4602. Now, I think what I want is actually to have the lower third both on the opening shot. So I'm going to move them like this. It makes more sense that my two lower thirds will be in my opening shot. So I made this a little bit longer. I just moved these two over here. All right. So this is essentially what you need to do. And then at the end, I'm going to get you to put a closing slide. So you are going to use just a solid. So a solid background, or you could use a texture. But I'm just going to go, actually, I don't mind these. These are nice. Paper, fabric. That's pretty nasty looking. I'm going to go for this. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to stick it in the end. You can see it kind of got lost underneath my fade. So I'm going to drag it out. Make a shorter fade. So now it'll go from Lucy. It'll fade in to here. And what you're going to do is you're going to put some basic text. Actually, go into build and out. Here's all the different types of titles and text that you can do. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff in here. You can do a Star Wars thing if you want. I usually just use just custom. Custom is just a basic title. I'm going to drag this on top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to black. There we go. I'm going to change the font to something cute. That's kind of cute. That looks like something that Lucy would choose. And now I'll put my closing credits. Lucy's Secret Garden. And then I'll put created by Gordon Cobb, Musi 4602, and I'll put fall 2025. Now you can see that it doesn't really fit properly. So what I'm going to do is select just these 3 lines, and I'm going to make them smaller. There we go. So now my title is bigger and the rest of it is smaller. And then we're going to need to put a fade out and a fade in for these. So this one here, this background needs a fade out. So that's Command T. And here's an extra special awesome little trick here is if you select the entire clip here, in this case the clip is the text, and do Command T, it'll do a fade in and a fade out automatically. And now I want this to come in a little bit sooner, so I can grab this right here in the middle and I can drag that over to make this a little longer. And now here's my ending. We can see that that's a little bit long. Yeah, that's a little too long. So I'm going to drag this one shorter, drag this one shorter. Let's try that. Lucy's Secret Garden, created by Gordon Cobb, Musi 4602, fall 2025. So the way that I time it is usually the amount of time it takes me to read it out loud is usually how long I make my ending credits for. And now all that I need is a little piece of music to stick over top. So I'm going to show you how I do that. It's the same process as before. File, import media. This time I'm looking for music, and the music is kept on this hard drive. Gore's Music CDs. Let's go for the lighter side. Where's the Butterflies music? Yeah, I think I like this. So, Butterflies music. This time, what I want to do, because it's on a different hard drive, I'm going to copy to my external hard drive here. So now I go import selected. You will notice it shows up here in your library of clips. And now what I can do is grab it, and audio files go on the bottom. So even if you tried to put it up here, it'll automatically put it on the bottom. And so now, and just let me change my mic setting here so we can hear the music. There we go. Sorry if that was loud. So now, we've got a piece of music here that starts with some background birds and some water. What a magical place. Oh, look at that. Then what happens? Oh, peace, tranquility, nature. It's everything you've ever wanted in a backyard. Magic elephants. Little pigs living underneath big, furry leaves. Look at its little face. But who's this? It's a little baby girl. Yes. She loves the backyard and loves to play with her daddy. My goodness, so much love from one little lady. Gorgeous. Now I just realized that I want a little bit more of this. So I'm going to drag this. I'm going to drag this. I'm going to shift all of these down because I want to get the shot of her pawing me for more affection because that melts my heart. And then we'll pull this here. I think, oops, we decided this was about the right amount of time. And there we go. So now I have a little 1 minute and 10-second video. Now the last thing that you need to do is you need to put in lower thirds for your shots. So I'm going to go back to my text editor and I'm going to do like this here. So you can go to build in, build out, or you could do a lower third. It kind of depends on what you want to do. So lower thirds. So what I'll do is I'm going to stick with this lower third here. I like this one. It's not super invasive. And then what you have to do is name and label all of your shots. So I would call this a close up. And on the bottom, you can put tilt. Maybe I'll put with a tilt. And I don't want a capital. There we go. So now, it shows here, close up with a tilt. So you need to clearly label all of your shots and why you chose them. So this would be a pan of a full shot. I would call this an extreme close-up with a zoom. I didn't include a zoom shot, but a zoom, I think we all know what a zoom is. And then you'll want to make sure you have a focus pull in there and all the other ones that are listed in the document. So those are all the steps. Then, once you're done, here's what you do. You go File, and you go Share. You go down to Share, and save it at 1080p. So Apple device is 1080p. And for now, you just go Next. It's going to make it into a .m4v file. So Next. And now you can name it after the spinning wheel of death. Go away, go away, go away, go away. I guess I'll have some coffee. And then you'll give it a name. So I think I'm just going to stick with this. And I'll also put Gordon. And then you need to make sure that you find where this folder is and save it in the same folder. So here's Music 4602, 2025. It's here in week 2. And in the Get the Shot assignment, I'm going to save this. And now, if you look up over here, this is the status wheel. And when it's done, your progress bar will turn into a little check mark like this. And then, let's see, I'm going to pull my folder over here. So now here's my folder. And if we look in here, week 2, Get the Shot, and then here is my folder, or here is my final project right here. Get the Shot 2025 reel, Gordon, and 62.3 megabytes, which isn't very big. All right, so there it is. So have fun with this. Make sure you're using the rule of thirds and thinking about composition when you're getting your shots. And then also think about the story you want to tell with your imagery. And I look forward to watching all of your reels.